Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Easter celebration. I am here with Renee Guidelli of the Heart Center and the spiritual SPINister, Rob, and we are here to we divinely came together on this, which I just want to talk about that for a minute. It wasn't planned by our daily personalities. It was clearly something that came through our vessels, our divine vessels. And this morning I woke up to the most beautiful orange sunrise on the horizon. And it was orange and purple and those kinds of scenes that we have in meditation where you just feel like you're in your dreamscape. And I want to thank divinity for that this morning as a beautiful way to begin this morning and my morning with these beautiful, beautiful beings that I get to do this with, and for all of you watching today or later. So, welcome. Today, we celebrate the life and love of all the religious traditions around the world. But for our specific marching orders, today we received rebirth, resurrection, and ascension. So we're going to have a service going through those aspects in through our divine source connection. It is beautiful when one ascends into the Christos frequencies, and we move in and out of those as we're ascending. It's beautiful because here all works together seamlessly, effortlessly, for the good of all. And we feel that unity consciousness flowing through each of us. This is the new earth that was prophesied as the second coming in the Christian tradition. However, these octaves of reality have been available to us the whole time, which we'll discuss in more detail throughout this celebration. So I would like to thank Rob and Renee for this beautiful collaboration, and I will now hand it over to Rob for the invocation.
Thank you, Reverend Amanda. Now, let us pray. Let's unite our consciousness in prayer as we as a community can experience the divine presence that is within all of us and that is all of us. Wake up, fellow seekers of light, and open your eyes, for we are alive. Rise up, fellow bringers of light, and let us walk in the sun, for we are renewed. Look up and around and within, fellow beings of light, for we are connected. Together as a community of the light, we gather today in a virtual space that holds none of our bodies, but all of our presence, a perfect example of our body's transcendence to a bodiless experience of one another and of the source of all light. Source of all light, through our out-of-body experience today, you have revealed our way-shower, Brother Jesus' out-of-body miracle. Help us answer your call to share this revelation with the world, not by preach or persuasion, but by living it in our hearts, minds, spirits, and our bodies. May this day of our rising and our gathering bring us closer to one another and to you, O source of the light, a presence eternal. And so it is.
Renee, you just have to mute yourself first, okay?
Beautiful. Yeah, what a beautiful day it is to be celebrating. I have been asked to bring forth the healing prayer before the meditation that Rob is going to take us on. And so it's a little bit like what Rob just said as well, except we're looking at holding the container for all of the world and for each other to heal in the wholeness that we are. And so we say, Dear Mother, Father, God, Source, Creator, you who we call by so many names, I know that you are within and around us right now. I know that your healing and protective love shields us from anything that is not of your divine creation. As we gather for the Easter Ascension celebration, we are reminded of our divine birthright of love, light, bliss, and harmony within as well as without. We call in the higher frequencies of love and light to direct, guide, and show us the way so that we can live eternally in heaven, on earth. And so it is, and so it will be.
That was beautiful, Renee. Thank you so much for beautiful prayer of healing. I can feel all of my pains and all of my stresses just wash away today. So let us take a moment now for stillness, to enter into that space where we can hear the divine voice, which is, as we know, the voice that is within and that guides us on this beautiful spring day. So I encourage everybody to get comfortable, find a space where you are feeling both relaxed as well as energized. So sitting up, perhaps with your back against the seat or the chair where you're sitting, and your feet gently but firmly on the ground. And we're just going to start by taking a few deep breaths together. Keep your eyes open for the first couple, and then on the third one, we'll just allow our eyes to flutter shut. So let's take one deep breath. Fill all of your body, every corner and inch of it, with that breath. Inhale and hold and exhale. Try that again. Inhale and hold and exhale. And on this last breath, fill your body completely. And as you exhale, you can allow your eyes to slowly flutter shut as we begin to enter into our meditative state. So as our breathing relaxes and returns to a normal rate, allow each breath, inhale and exhale, to take you to a deeper and deeper state of relaxation. Each breath, the aches and pains of our bodies just disappear. Our stresses, our anxieties, all of those day-to-day things that occupy our mind, they'll be there for us if we choose them when we're done. But for now, on this Easter Sunday morning, allow each breath to make you more and more relaxed. And begin to imagine your physical body just dissolving just a little bit into a mist. Our breathing will keep us tethered to our physical world while we get to play in the ethereal world for a bit. And as our body dissolves in our mind's eye, let us imagine what is left is an essence of who we are. What does your essence look like to you without your body? Does it have a color or a texture that is your favorite? This essence without our bodies, without pain, without emotional stress, is our true conscious self. It hangs in the air and yet floats and dissipates, encompassing everything. For we are pure essence. And the universe that we are floating in is truly one of our imagination. It is this imagination now that I invite us all to invoke as we now imagine ourselves shaping into a little seedling buried beneath the surface of the ground. The ground is cool, but so comfortable for us. It is dark, and yet we feel safe. Because we are nourished, we have been nourished throughout the cold winter months. The sunlight has reached our roots, enlivened us. The warm, soft earth gets warmer and softer. And here in this space of quiet, comfortable safety, we feel a stirring from inside. A stirring that allows us to burst open with the bright green stalk that in our mind's eye we push and move through the dirt, almost as if it was an earthworm, but this green stalk that is coming from deep within moves through the dirt, moves above us toward the surface, and then miraculously breaks through the surface, feeling the warm sunlight. Nourish, enliven us, and encourage us to draw ourselves toward the sky. stretching and stretching as more and more pieces of us break free from our seed, move up, pushing through the ground, reaching toward those rays of sun. It's like that rapid time photography where we can feel, see, and experience that growth rapidly yet thoroughly. As our buds form and begin to swell and swell and swell until they too burst open with that color and texture and experience of our essence, as the very petals that are reaching toward the sun. We feel the blueness of the sky. We feel the softness of the petals that surround us and envelop us. We feel the freshness and brightness and vitality that has burst forth from us. Sunny, hopeful, fragrant, and beautiful. And we choose now to make ourselves aware of not just our own growth and essence and flowering. We open our hearts and minds and become aware of the souls of the flowers and plants and growth that surround us. For all of these essences and scents and petals and leaves make up the most gorgeous living space of a thriving, vibrant, and restorative garden. We greet our fellow flowers and plants with that smile that is in our mind's eye. Perhaps our petals glow a little more brightly. Perhaps our leaves and greens seem even richer, knowing that we are not alone, but a part, an integral part, an essential part of this system in which we live. This is our renewal, and this is our rebirth into the world. A world of the living, a world of the experience, and ultimately a world that takes us on a journey back to home and heaven from which we came. And with that strong stalk and leaves and bright, beautiful petals that are our own unique essence and texture, we confidently choose to return to our bodies, knowing that as the months of spring progress, we can return to this space of renewal whenever we choose. whenever we need to connect with our flowering, blooming essence and the garden that is where we live and how we live. We suddenly become aware of that beautiful deep breath that has held us tethered to our bodies, always caring for us during our journey to our imaginative realm. We just catch that breath. It's deep, it's deliberate, it's restorative, inhaling and exhaling. Each breath now returning us more and more to our physical body. Maybe we smell the essence that we just left. Maybe we can sense the softness of our own petals on our skin. We are returning to our bodies as we dissolve back in more and more. And as we feel those last cells and molecules re-enter into that physical frame, we're going to come out completely with 3 quick breaths. The first 2 will keep our eyes closed, and then we will open on our 3rd. So inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And finally, inhale and exhale as we open our eyes. There we are. And I thank you for this experience, this journey into our deep self, hearing that voice, experiencing our restoration, our revitalization, our renewal as a community. And this community exists for those who are here live and for any who may join the recording of this service in the future. What we have here is something that is unique and special and that will never happen again, no matter how many times we regather or if the exact same group would regather. This is a unique experience simply because we have chosen it together. And so I'd like to just take the next few moments to open our 3-person message today. And I'm delighted to open with the idea of our renewal. We have a hosta plant in our front yard. It was a gift from a friend and a former congregant. It's been there for just about 10 years. And my friend, who was a landscape maven, was doing some work in the yard, and this was one of the pieces of plant material that she donated just because she was excited to be helping out with our very messy yard at the time. If you have hostas, you know they're so hardy, they're so vibrant. And ours, having not had a lot of experience with plants, started to, almost on its own, to expand and grow larger each spring and summer over the last 10 years. It grows big and green and can withstand just about any weather or any condition that I may apply to it because of my care or lack thereof. And after the first frost hits each year, the whole plant just collapses into a limp and yellowing heap. It looks kind of like a rubbery dead octopus that is washed up on shore. And so the winter months kind of come and go, and we pretty much let that kind of dead looking plant kind of keep its little space in the corner of the yard for the entire season. And it kind of fades into the background of everything else that we're doing as we come and go. And then, as what happened the other day, when spring arrives, I'm always awestruck because amid those dead-looking tentacles of plant material that we, of course, cut off and throw away when it's nice enough to get out and do some work in the yard. But amidst this dead, flat, limp, yellowing, heap of leaves and stalks laying there, appear these delightfully perky little stalks of green, a little cluster peeking out, like, here we are, here we are. And this little tiny group of stalks seems to grow, compounding like exponentially each day, from the first day of spring or the first warm day and through the end of the summer. And of course, each year that we've had it, when it comes back exponentially, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, taking out more and more of our tiny little yard. But it's the most beautiful experience to watch this happen. Sometimes overnight, sometimes it grows so large overnight, it's staggering. And this is whether I have taken care of it during the summer, or whether I slacked off, whether it was the scorcher of a summer, or whether it was a bitterly cold winter, whether I was watering it steadily or not. This plant has what I like to think is an automatic renewal. It doesn't have to think about it. Just like when you put that subscription on a credit card and don't have to think about it, so that you can maintain your uninterrupted service of your apps on your television or your cable stations or anything that you subscribe to. And I think that's where we are as we start each Easter. It's the automatic renewal. We love those. We don't have to think about them. And we can have faith that they always occur. No matter how dark the winter, no matter how cold the season, no matter how unseasonably the seasons might be treating us. Renewal is a given. It's automatic. And it's something that I cherish, that I don't have to think about, and is what leads me into the hope and faith that I have for the season, that I too can continue growing brighter, bigger, and more impactful with each day. And so I'm delighted now to share this renewal with Reverend Amanda, moving forward as we talk about resurrection.
Oh, the resurrection. We could talk about the resurrection for 10 months and never get close to what it really is. So today I'm going to bring in pieces from my own journey of the resurrection. And as always, take what resonates. We try to bring in several traditions so we can see the science behind these concepts the ascended masters were bringing forth to the planet for thousands and thousands of years, that have been kept being held by the priests and the shamans for a very long time, as the information was put into a queue for a while to be held because we were not ready to have it. So Rob beautifully demonstrated in the meditation what it feels like to resurrect and release the fetters of suffering, that breaking through that glass ceiling sometimes of the literal and the black and white. And he also described it in the resurrection of the hasta. The hasta was erecting in the spring, rising, erecting, just like the temples within us. And that is one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, is that it is the erection of the temple within us. And that is what allows us to erect the divine temples in the outer once again. It will be an amazing day when science can show how the resurrected body exists, the ascended body. The Bible described it as a physical, material, fleshy body with bones. From carbon to silicate is what I've realized on my journey. Like the rainbow light body of the Buddhist tradition. The resurrected body is not a new concept, and it dates back to ancient times of pre-dynastic Egypt and way before. The followers of Horus, the Shining Ones, the Shem-Suhor, Isis and Osiris uniting, the divine masculine and feminine by bringing back a soul retrieval of sorts, the lost parts of ourselves, of our divinity. Retrieval of the parts of the masculine, 14 to be exact in the story of Isis and Osiris and his resurrection. And the pair together of the masculine and feminine energies to create the Christos, which is shown in the Christian story of the Christ, the Horus consciousness, through the birth of the Horus. When looked at this completely as symbolism and taking the baby out of the equation, it is no different than the virgin births of Christ consciousness, which is unity consciousness. In the traditions prior talked about in Zoroastrianism and Mithraism and ancient Egypt, where the divine feminine births Christ consciousness through her inner union of divine masculine and feminine primordial energies. It reminds me of a picture I saw in Egypt at the cave where they hid baby Jesus for 3 months in Old Cairo. And Mary, as many pictures of the Holy Mother holding her Christ baby. When we look at this more multidimensionally and not as literally, we can look at it in this way as well. And again, take what resonates. Mary holding her Christ consciousness within her being, symbolically to see it in the outer, to birth it through the divine feminine portal in the outer. In her child and the other Essenes that she walked with. Then having taught this to her children, so they too could hold this consciousness. We have a beautiful opportunity on this planet to infuse our culture with symbolism that is resurrected. For so long, we've focused on death and dying and forsaking ourselves and sinning and sacrificing that we forgot to celebrate life. For so long, we've been in the pathways of the mind of fear, shame, guilt, rage, victimhood, that we forgot our divine inner child imagination to flow with nature, to be at ease within, to share and celebrate divine love through our individual divine source connection, higher self embodiment. And that communal, beautiful gift of the one creating another to be able to share it with others. Resurrection literally means the rising again to life. The Egyptians called it coming forth by day. The shifting of the fallen consciousnesses that we dance with to risen consciousness in every mindful now moment. To grace, to love, to celebrating life through gratitude consciousness in this beautiful human experiment. We've been programmed for so long to perseverate on judgment, especially of self, and what we don't want. Healing the I am a sinner narrative, and shifting to awakening our divinity, our remembrance of who we are, and what the ascended masters came to teach us. Only when our hearts are as light as a feather can we access this seamless higher consciousness, this new earth consciousness. Like a baby swan releasing its feathers, flapping its feathers, and taking off for the first time in flight. Beautiful baby cygnets as one in a harmonic resonance. We rise together from within. Revelations has always been talked about as scary and horrific in the literal sense, right? I'm going to tell a different story today and one of my own experience in what my guides have shown me so beautifully. In the Bible, there's lots of codes, and there's even a book about that, the Bible Code, of pieces that are more multidimensionally, maybe not to take so literally and to see the symbolism in them. One of these codes was that of Revelations. And Revelations was that what it really represented was the 7 higher seals of what were put in place when the gates when the gates are open, we have access to those higher seals, and they're open. They're the chakras. And there's a beautiful divine being who once said that when she was in the Bosnian pyramid of the sun, there was a saying in there that said, and I'm paraphrasing, and this came from Judy Satori. She's a beautiful being. She said, "It is time now to hunker down until the gates can be reopened again. The great reveal, the lifting of the veils, the parting of the mists of consciousness. When we open these gates, we are now at this time again. Our consciousness has risen enough as a collective for us to collectively rise together, to no longer focus on death, and to celebrate life through all of our thought forms." When I was in Egypt a couple weeks ago, feels like lifetimes already ago, but I came across an Ascension temple that I had experienced in a past life regression as well. And I was always really excited to one day be able to find it. And here in this location, once there were 14 halls. And as I wrote this morning, I was hearing the halls of Amenti. At least half of them in this temple on the true earth plane were destroyed as we fell in consciousness. As we set the new earth, it is my dream that we ascend so far that the full 14 can be restored again in the physical. As within, so the outer, we shall see. The resurrection is not something that occurs from following a being in the outside. However, the ascended masters left so much so that we could do the same and even more. A most sacred time on our planet right now. The resurrection means to rise, to erect the temple, the body temple. And as we each individually do that, yet together, we raise the temples again in the outer to the original divine genetic blueprint from within. Renee, I now pass this beautiful light over to you.
Thank you, Reverend Amanda and Reverend Rob, for such a wonderful story and timeline of renewal, resurrection, and now we go into ascension. I, too, agree with Reverend Amanda. I think this particular topic could be expounded upon in so many weeks because there are so many personal stories that we all around the world can share and relate to. I think it's just absolutely beautiful when we can look at the story in a different way and detach from the pain and the suffering. And so I want to share a little bit of something, and it seems like we have a slight beautiful pattern here with the greening, right? The spring, the greening, the life that is coming up from the ground, the darkness, the shadow, the nothingness into the now here-ness. And but I'm also going to share it with I've been talking and saying that we've been going through a little bit of trials and tribulations these 7 days of this week. And every day, every moment, I am reminded of that particular journey that Yeshua had walked those 7 days. And so I'm going to start with, in the beginning, we were given this, I guess it's interesting, Reverend Amanda was talking about codes as well. So I want you to think of, again, an allegory, right? So if I'm going to speak about the vehicle, our vehicle, our car, I also want you to think about your own vehicle. So if God, the universe, is providing trials and tribulations about our vehicle, the emergency brake not, working, the check engine light coming on, the codes that need to be cleared in order to be inspected to pass judgment. All of these things with our only one vehicle that allows us to travel was keeping us stuck day in and day out for 5 to 6 days. We were having to take this vehicle through many types of tests and trials in order to pass so that we could move forward, so that we could drive. Now, at the same time, and these are very interesting tests and tribulations, because once again, you're being tested, and there's a judgment, right? It's the stamp of approval. Is it inspected? Can you drive it? No. Now you have to do this. Now you have to do that. So meanwhile, while that was happening, and it was a bit grueling, at the same time, the same day that we found out about this issue, which again, I'm going to equate with my own vehicle, right? Like, where is the emergency brake on? Like, where are the brakes on? Where am I stuck? Where is the check engine light coming on? Like, where is the energy that I'm not putting into what I need to? Where are the codes that need to be cleared to be able to ascend, to go to the next level? Well, at the same time this is happening, out front in our yard, in the front of the church, we have this, out of the blue, this beautiful, just as Rob was talking about the hostas, you have all this, like, not quite octopus, but we do have hostas as well. But you have these flowers that are coming up that are so unique and unusual, and it's the iris. And at first it had the 3 petals, and I'm looking at it, and it's yellow and it's black, like yellow with black polka dots. And then it's purple and blue around it. And I'm looking at it, and there's one, and the next day there's 2, and each day there's another one coming up. And you can see the green. It looks like asparagus. It's always been this time asparagus is very strong. It comes up around this time. And there's 7 of them. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, thank you, Rob. Thank you, Reverend Rob. So absolutely beautiful. And this to me was a sign of what Reverend Rob was talking about, and what Reverend Amanda was talking about, is the renewal, right? That at the same time, while we're going through our inner trials and tribulations, and I'm even going to say death to some degree, because the car was acting like it was dying. And of course, at the same time, there's something going on within us that is dying as well. And as of yesterday, it passed. So it passed, and it's like, yes, it's like the Ascension. So what I want to share about that, with understanding that allegory, I was realizing that there was something going on under the hood, subconsciously, under the dirt, that we weren't aware of. And that's where the multidimensional understanding of what it's like to be in this body, in this temple, in this vehicle on this earth. So I want to share a little bit of Ascension from a different perspective and tie it into that story. That we can transcend the pain and suffering that we experience in our own lives, as well as what we witness occurring around the world, just like Jesus did. That I believe that Ascension is about rising to a higher level, a higher frequency of living, and that was exactly what Jesus taught. But before Jesus taught that, he was taught that, just as Reverend Amanda was saying, by the priests and the priestesses of the mystery school, that he trained with all over the world, that we still hold those codes, that DNA information is within us. That Jesus was right there with folks like you and I, learning how to do the same things that we are learning. That the same DNA, that same encodement, the same mystery lives within us all. I see Ascension as the alchemical marriage of the divine union of the human self with the divine essence of creation. I believe Reverend Rob and Reverend Amanda both spoke about the essence. I think it's very hard for us to hold on tangibly to what the essence is, the light body. But we know the word, the essence, the essence of a flower, the essence of a being. It is the beingness. It is the source energy. The only way that this alchemy can occur is if we allow the transfiguration of what we know as Holy Spirit fire to purify and cleanse all that is not divine within you. That's what we've been going through, is this purification. But it's beautiful when we allow that Holy Spirit to come through and purify and cleanse and bless us, just like the flowers. Patience, right? So I also equate ascension to a cosmic balance of the divine feminine and divine masculine that makes up the God, goddess attributes with oneself. That is what we have within us. Ascension ultimately frees us from the limitations of the mind, the body, and the spirit, so that in the end, we can either lay our physical body down to rest eternally, or we can ascend to our physical body in the higher dimensions. Now, I don't know if you know this, but it was Yeshua's matriarchal bloodlines that showed him how to ascend through his Miriam and Mary, his mother, and Anna, his grandmother. And all I'm simply going to say is his Miriam was a light body first, before she came into the next soul as Mary, his mother, so that Yeshua, Jesus, could ascend. And when they did that, they imprinted and placed the codes within Mother Earth so that we too, all of us, even the flowers, even the animals, all of us could do the same. As above, so below. So that is what self-mastery is and what we have come here to do, whether in this lifetime or another. So we can equate the descent as the winter, where the internal journey begins and also resides, and the spring is the ascent or life eternal. It is only through clearing the heart and the intuitive centers that we are then prepared to receive the higher alchemical energies that activate greater spiritual powers within in order to attain enlightenment, just as Jesus and his people did. This is what we are taught as followers and initiates of Christ consciousness. I am the resurrection and the life.
Thank you, Renee. That was so beautiful. And we're going to go over to Renee, excuse me, once again for the closing.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Just taking a moment, you're having that energy flow through you. I can feel it. It's so
I was looking to see what was next on the agenda.
That's all right. We have each other.
Beautiful. So I have a closing, just a closing poem I'd like to share taken from Anna, Grandmother of Jesus. It's one of my favorites, and I think you'll really be able to relate to this. So this kind of brings everything home for us. I have reached the inner vision, and through thy spirit in me, I have heard thy wondrous secret. Through thy mystic insight, thou hast caused a spring of knowledge to well up within me, a fountain of power, pouring forth living waters, a flood of love and of all embracing wisdom, like the splendor of eternal light.
Thank you, Renee. And for benediction. No matter what we may be perceiving, or labeling in our consciousness as wrong or judging as linear, like the car example that Renee gave. No matter where we are in our lives right now and what we're perceiving these many seasons to be, may we rise up to see the truth that all is divinely orchestrated, that all moments are divine and given to us for us to ascend into our mastery. Like a blossomed rose bathing in the sun from within, or an iris, or 7 of them, or 14, letting what needs to pass pass, and radically trusting our soul journey in every moment as much as we can as we work through the dissonance to fully come into our resonance of divine love. Take time today to focus on what is right, to focus on the wonderful things in your life, food on the table, a roof over our head. We can look for the good. Even if we're in moments that feel yucky, we can still feel and find the good on a beautiful sunny day in upstate New York, where nature is just starting to fully come out and show us the resurrection. As a dear friend once said to me, and I saw a week later on a license plate, bliss you. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and happy, happy Easter.
Thank you, my colleagues and friends. Thank you so much for this. Have a beautiful day.
Bye, everybody.
Beautiful.